Hey everyone, Eric here. In this video, we're going through my pedal board. I'm gonna run through all the pedals that are on it and why I put them on this one. And then, of course, we're gonna hear some sounds from it. So if that sounds cool, stick around, we're getting into it. Hey everyone, Eric here again. Before we get into the board, I wanted to tell you a little bit about my setup. So I'm running my guitar, which will be... The guitar I'm going to be using is this Revolta Mondata HB, two HBs, two humbuckers. We're going to go into the pedal board, and then we're going to go out of the pedal board into my Rocket Retro RR100, which then goes into the aux, and the aux loads the amp down, and then it sends a speaker simulated line out into my interface, which is over there at my computer. So with that out of the way, let's go to the pedal board. Okay, so the first pedal on my board is going to be the Polytune Mini from TC Electronics, and TC Electronic, sorry. I got this one because I bought the Flashback and the Mojo, and they had this deal where if you bought two pedals at the same time, you got a free Polytune. So I got that. It's got the cool trick of if you strum all the strings, it'll tell you like it can pick out which string is out of tune, which is really cool. Sometimes I like to put my tuner at the end of my drive section to be a mute, but as you will find out with the next pedal, it is top mount, and I wanted a side mount jack to be first in line, so I put the tuner at first. From the tuner, it goes into the Jackson Audio Prism, and the Prism is a boost pedal. The Prism is a boost pedal with 3 different modes, and it's just like, it's a really nice boost. I use that to boost into the other drives because I like stacking drives. And before I play anything, that's gonna go into the Hyper Catalyst from 6 Degrees Effects. I have it wired up to be powered at 18 volts because couple things, I ran out of 9-volt power outputs on my power supply, and I had an 18 volt, and the Hyper Catalyst can do 18 volts, so I thought, why not? So let's go ahead and hear the Prism boosting into the Hyper Catalyst. After the Hyper Catalyst comes the Alpha Drive from Ingle Amps, which is a really cool high gain overdrive, but I've got a really like gnarly sounding stuff out of it. And I used to play in like pop punk bands and emo bands, and this pedal specifically gets me back into like that mindset of like how to play those songs. I might boost it with the Hyper Catalyst because another thing that I do is I stack from least gain to most gain. The ones before it can interact with the pedals after it. So let's go ahead and hear the Alpha Drive. Okay, so next in line is going to be the Woodcutter from Big Ear Pedals. Now the Woodcutter is a really great sounding Rat. So it's got that high gain distortion thing going on, and it sounds a bit different. Like it is drive, but it sounds a bit different than the Ingle Alpha Drive, even with, you know, the Prism or the Hyper Catalyst driving the Ingle Drive. So it's got a little bit tighter response, more saturation, and it doesn't have, like, some of the mid-range of the guitar sort of shines through and doesn't get quite distorted. Well, the Woodcutter is completely distorted, so let's hear that. The pedal that comes after the Woodcutter in the signal chain is the Haunt Fuzz from Old Blood Noise Endeavors. Now the Haunt, I've had it for a while. It's just got this like really like compressed, fuzzy, great sound to it. It's awesome. It's got a mix in case you want to like let some clean signal through, but if I ran a bass through this, that would probably be a really good a good feature to use for that pedal. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and hear the craziness that the Haunt is. You know, aside from dirt pedals, I wanted this board to be able to do like atmospheric style stuff, you know, because I really dig that, just like getting lost in a pretty sound. So the next pedal in line, the next couple pedals are the Mood from Chase Bliss Audio, which is like a micro looper and delay reverb tape emulation thing. It's hard to classify, but it is awesome. It's kind of like daunting to understand, so I do have a video for that I think helps explain exactly what the Mood does. After that is going to be the Electroman Mark II from Solid Gold Effects. And the Electroman Mark II it's an analog, or it's a digital delay pedal. Digital delay. It's a digital delay pedal, but it's voiced very dark. So it's more like it's more like an analog delay. It's really, really dark, which is actually why I love it. It's got a warp foot switch, so it's got an infinite sustain foot switch. It's got modulation, and I just think it sounds really, really nice because it steps back, you know, like it doesn't get in the way of your playing, and it's really, really good. After that, I have another delay pedal, but this one is the LEM from Mastros LEM. The LEM is sort of like a multi-head delay pedal. It's a digital pedal, and it's got a whole bunch of different like effects modes. I think I've got the Mood set up similar to the LEM right now, which, I mean, there's tons of sounds in both of those pedals, but I've got it sort of like pitched up. It's a pitched up delay, but then it's played back 50% in reverse and forward, which is crazy. Even saying it sounds crazy. After the LEM comes the Atmosphere from Dr. Scientist Sounds. The Atmosphere is it's the most powerful reverb I've ever had the pleasure of using. If you can dream of a reverb sound, you can find it in the Atmosphere. Also, the lock screen, you can change it, and right now I have it on Gandalf, which is really cool. But no, the Atmosphere gives you, I think it's 16 different patches of reverb. It is a pretty in-depth pedal. You can go into a menu and you can change different things, but that screen really helps in not making it so daunting. Like you can easily pick up on what it is you're doing because of that screen. The Atmosphere sounds great, it looks great, and you can dial in pretty much any reverb sound that you would ever want. So that's why it's on there. Also, another thing to note is that the Atmosphere does require high current. I believe it's 300 milliamps. So I had to use the high current output on my power supply, which is an Engel power tap. The last pedal on the board is the GFI Systems Zeus Mono. It's super powerful. It sounds great. So it's a speaker simulation pedal. So if I wanted to, I could take an XLR directly out of the board, out of the Zeus Mono, into my interface and get speaker simulation. I don't have it set up like that right now. I'm running through the through output into my amp. But that's another thing. You could run the through output of the amp and an XLR, and then you have sort of like a stereo setup. That's one of the pedals that stays on pretty much every setup. Let me know if you like this video, if you like hearing me talk about these pedals. I routinely redo my pedal boards like every couple weeks or every month or so. I'm sure as many of you do as well. So like, if you like this video, I can make another one with, you know, a whole different design. Maybe we can do something where you tell me what pedals to put on from demos on the channel. I'm happy to do another one. I really like getting lost in sounds. I like talking about pedals. Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. Check out the other gear demos. Like I said, I have videos for pretty much every pedal on this board. And yeah, have a good one.